Hello, and welcome back to Spittin Sports with Lamar. I am Casey Lamar, and I'm coming at you from the 256. Today is a very special episode of Spittin Sports, as I will have my very first guest ever on in a Spittin Sports episode. We will be discussing the SEC, the Southeastern Conference, but let's just go ahead and get right into that. So in this video, we have our very first guest. He is my former boss, and he is the audio visual specialist and film curator, whatever you want to call him, at the Paul W. Bryant Museum, David Mize. Hello, David. How are you today?
Hello. I'm honored to be your first guest on Spittin Sports, and I guess I'm coming from the OG. The 205.
Yeah, the 205.
Right,
205.
Right.
Yeah, that I guess that would be it, the 205. Yeah. I meant to mention that. But no, so today we will be discussing the SEC conference. And for those that don't know, I will go ahead and say the West, you got Alabama, you have Arkansas, Auburn, LSU, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M. And then on the east side, you have Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Missouri, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Vanderbilt. But no, David, so I was just going to mention a couple notable games, and then I figured we could say a couple things about each one. So the first one I mentioned, just because it's two Power 5 teams, is Ole Miss and Texas Tech. They played 11 o'clock Central Time, ESPN, in Houston, NRG Stadium. Anything you want to say about that game?
Well, I think it's going to be Texas Tech. I think Ole Miss is going to it's going to be a struggle for Ole Miss this year with everything that's gone on off the field, and this is just going to be one of those years where they're just, in my opinion, just trying to get through.
Yeah, just another transition like last year. Last year, I'm surprised they even made it 6-6, but now they know what their penalties are and everything, so it might be a little worse, but. Yeah, Texas Tech, you never know what you're going to get other than a lot of passing. But the next one, probably the biggest one of the weekend, to be honest, is number 6 Washington and Auburn, number 9 Auburn. They play 2:30 Central on ABC, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Atlanta. I think Auburn's getting a lot of disrespect going into this game, in my opinion. But what are you looking at for that one?
Well, Auburn is always that team of two heads, as I like to call it. They seem to be a team that if nobody's expecting them to do anything, they play lights out. And when they're kind of expected to do something, they usually fold. And number 9, I think people are expecting them to do some things this year. And I don't know. I kind of look for Washington to not only win that game, they may win it big.
Yeah, I don't know. I think everybody's talking about Washington in that one because a lot of people expect Washington to make the playoffs. So just because they're probably in a weaker conference out of the Pac-12, but I think they have to beat Auburn to really show that they deserve to be in there. Auburn.
If they don't, I'm sorry, but if they don't win this game, I think this is not one of those situations where they lose early and can come back. I think they're done.
Yeah, they got to show that they can compete with a team that could definitely make the playoff in Auburn. Battle of the quarterbacks, honest, with Stidham and Browning from Washington. But I don't know. I hope that one is a close game, a hard-fought game. But I think Auburn's being, I wouldn't say disrespected, but they're not even talking about Auburn anytime I see that game talked about.
Right.
Right. I'll move on with this one's interesting because it'll be the first time we've seen Jeremy Pruitt with Tennessee. But you got Tennessee taking on number 17 West Virginia, 2:30 Central Time, CBS, Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. What do you look for out of the Tennessee-West Virginia game?
Well, I don't look for a lot from Tennessee right now. They're still going to be in that phase of a new coach. And frankly, I think Jones didn't leave a lot in the cupboard. So I think Tennessee fans are going to have to be a little bit patient. And I think West Virginia is going to be, victorious in this battle, and it may be another one. I'm not so sure the SEC is going to look real good after
Mhm.
this first week.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I don't know what to expect out of Tennessee. I mean, obviously it's a work in progress. He seems to be doing a decent job recruiting, and for some reason I have a feeling one of those two quarterbacks that's committed to Alabama, one of them is going to jump the ship and go to Tennessee. Because there's no way those two are coming in and trying to play with each other when you have Tua, that's the long-term quarterback, and then his brother or Paul Tyson coming in. But no, as far as that game goes, Will Greer is going to be too much on his own for Tennessee with West Virginia. I think West Virginia probably wins. I wouldn't say by 3 touchdowns, but probably 14, 17 points would probably be my prediction out of that one. But I'll go ahead and move on to the big one, especially for you and I, since I was a student there. Louisville versus number one Alabama, 7 o'clock Central Time, ABC, Camping World Stadium in Orlando. Obviously, you still work for the university. I was a student at one time there, so at Alabama. But what do you look for out of the Crimson Tide and the Cardinals?
Well, you're not only a student, you're an honored alum. So you made it through. I feel that people, kind of like what you were talking about with Auburn not getting any respect, I'm not so sure that this Louisville game is going to be as big of a blowout as people think. I think Alabama's going to win, don't get me wrong, but we've got a lot of question marks, especially in the defense. And when you have question marks in the defense and in the secondary, and you're facing a Bobby Petrino team, and it can make you a little nervous. So I'm going to be interested to see. I'm not worried about our offense, but I'm going to be interested to see how our defense looks.
Yeah, I think whichever quarterback plays for Alabama, they'll be all right. But I think if Tua goes out there, it'll just Louisville's going to have to try to play catch up with the scoreboard. But yeah, always Petrino offense 100%. Now, if he had Lamar Jackson, he's the exact quarterback that gives Alabama trouble.
Right.
He is the one guy that just takes the team, can win the whole game. I mean, you saw what Sean Watson did two
Right.
times and finally won the game. But I guess you don't know. He's always finds that quarterback, and he always has that explosive offense. Bobby Petrino does. But I think would have a better chance, I guess you could say, if Jalen was playing quarterback. But I don't think they win whoever's playing quarterback, because it's just going to be too much for them in the long run of the game to beat Alabama. But I think the line's 24.5 the last time I saw it. I don't think it'll be that much. 17, 20 points, because it always seems Alabama might come out a little sluggish to start some of those games. I remember Virginia Tech and West Virginia a few years ago. Those games were close games, and we looked real slow and sluggish.
Right. Right.
And then Sunday on the second, the last game for the SEC of the weekend, you got number 8 Miami playing number 25 LSU, 6:30 Central, ABC, AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. What do you look for out of the Tigers and the Hurricanes?
I think this is the beginning of the end of Coach O. I could see this looking ugly again, with the exception of Texas A&M versus who they're playing, Northwest State or whoever
Mm-hmm.
they're playing, and South Carolina playing Coastal, and Kentucky playing Central Michigan. These bigger games, the Auburn, Washington, the Tennessee, West Virginia's, and LSU, Miami. I think that the SEC might, like I said, not come out looking real good this weekend. Alabama may be the only team that of bigger games
Mm-hmm.
that looks good.
Yeah, I think this is Coach O's last shot probably. He's probably got to win 10 games to keep his job, to be honest, because LSU, they took the time to. I think they've been looking out, kind of sat on it, looking for somebody to really come in and bring that program back to where it was under Miles and Saban.
Right.
But they did finally name a quarterback 2 days ago, Joe Burrow, transfer from Ohio State. But we don't know how good he is because he never really got to play while he was up there. And Miami, I mean, you're going to get a team that's they're going to fight all the way to the end of the game.
Right.
They're
Right.
not just going to roll over. I mean, and
Right.
it's Mark Richt.
Yeah.
He always knows how
Yeah.
to put a 10-win team on the field. Maybe not
Yeah.
win anything, but win
Yeah.
the big show.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Miami comes out on top of that one. I think it's going to be close just because LSU's defense and their abilities that they always have, no matter who it
Right.
seems the coach is.
Right.
But I think
Right.
Miami ends up coming out on top on that one.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because teams like LSU, with what they've struggled with, sometimes it's not a matter of their talent or who they have on the field. It's just their mental status, and if things start going rough, sometimes I noticed last year they tended to want to fold a little bit. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, it will. I guess we'll answer a lot of questions about some of these teams week 1.
Hey, it's here. I'm excited.
Yeah. So Thursday, A&M kicks off for the SEC, even though they're not playing anybody. But yeah, football season's here. I'm happy it's back. Obviously, you're happy it's back. It's your busiest time of the year there at the museum.
Yes.
So
Yes.
You and I both know that. So
right.
But no, so I had a dark horse pick. I don't know who you're looking at, but I'm looking at South Carolina, and I think they're less of a dark horse pick than people are giving them a chance at, because week 2, if they can beat Georgia week 2 at home, I think it might be South Carolina's division, to be honest, if they can get past Georgia. Of course, Dan Mullen with Florida, it'll be interesting to see that, but I think South Carolina's got a really good shot to make a lot of noise in the East this year.
I think so, and I'm kind of looking at they changed coaches, but don't look past Texas A&M.
Yeah,
that could be an interesting dynamic. Now they got a pretty good schedule. They got to play Clemson that second game, but don't look past them. That could get interesting.
Yeah, Jimbo, good coach. They got quarterback questions too, but you saw Kellen Mond. He's more than able. He almost took out Alabama last year playing quarterback for A&M.
Right.
They traded one good coach for another good coach. So
yeah, they really did.
So I think they'll be a team to look at too. But as far as division winners go, in the long haul, I just Auburn really is. Mississippi State, they could be a team. Of course, they're not like a dark horse or underlying. I mean, they're the most hyped they've been in a long time coming into this year. But I really think Alabama does come out of the West after you look at the grand scheme of things, because Saban's never lost to an assistant in A&M. Ole Miss struggling. LSU, a lot of question marks. Auburn has to come to Tuscaloosa. Arkansas, brand new coach on a team that already only won 4 games last year. I just think Alabama comes out of the West.
Yeah, I think when we get into December, you're going to see an SEC championship game that is a rematch of the national title game last year. It's going to be Alabama and Georgia, and it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out.
Yeah, I have Georgia coming out of the East too, because even if they do lose to South Carolina, Missouri causes a threat to South Carolina with their passing game. Kentucky, they always seem to play hard in every game that they've had the last couple of years, except for maybe the bigger name teams such as Georgia or whoever it may be. I just see South Carolina, if they do get past Georgia in some way in week 2, that they'll slip up somewhere and Georgia will end up pulling it out in the end.
Yeah. Well, South Carolina has that reputation too. They always they'll be world beaters, and then they'll play Vandy or something. I don't know who they played this year. That's kind of they play Vandy or somebody like that, and they'll lose a game they're not supposed to, and that's kind of
choke it away.
That's always been their mantra a little bit. So they're that league's Ole Miss.
Yep. But I just think, especially even if it is a 2 quarterback thing to start the season with Alabama, I think obviously Tua seizes that, and I could see Alabama scoring almost averaging 50 points a game, to be honest. Saban won't allow them to average that many points, but I really could see them, if they had to, just run away with everything just by slinging the ball. And like, you add that extra variable for teams to deal with, quarterback that can make all the plays with a running game that's always solid. I think Alabama eventually they eventually do beat Georgia again, and they take the SEC this year.
Well, it's going to be interesting. There's been three things that we really haven't seen from Saban. That is a good QB development and an offense that actually uh, scores at will like that. He's more of a defensive minded person, and of course, the third thing being our special teams with place kickers. So we've struggled with that. So it'll be interesting to see if we were able to kind of score at will like everybody's expecting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that we will every game. I think there'll be some defenses that we come across that it's going to be make it more of a challenge. So, but we'll see. Hey,
That's the beauty of being able to watch it.
Yeah, there's playing it on the newspapers and on podcasts and things like that, and then there's actually playing the game. And so we'll get to see that on Saturday.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, like we said, I think there were some offenses that they could have scored a lot more points, but I think Saban, he likes to play a more respectable game rather than just running the score up on people a lot of times. So
well, and one of the things that I think even more so than that is Saban is always working on. At some point, that gear shifts from the game that we're currently in to the next game, and also working against yourself and making yourself a better player. So there may be some times that the plays are called and things are running. You're going, why in the world are we doing that? And it doesn't have anything to do with the game we're in now. It's for down the road.
Yeah, because that game may be over or whatever it may be. So don't risk anything or push anything too far.
Right.
But I guess that's all I had to say. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about as far as SEC as a whole for the season?
No. I'm just ready for kickoff. I'm ready for Saturday, and I'm glad that we'll have the Auburn Washington game at first, and then we'll have ours, so we can kind of just from 2:30 on, we can just kind of sit back and watch football.
Yep, I will definitely be up and early, catch some college game day, and then probably start with that Ole Miss Texas Tech game. Then it's on all day after that.
Yep, that's it
for me. But so that will do it for this episode, everybody. I want to thank David for coming on with me today, or for this video. He will be a part of the Pick'em for Friday as well. We may turn that into a weekly thing, or maybe have a rotation of people, but that is where we'll end this one about the SEC. I do appreciate you guys watching. If you enjoyed, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. But this has been Spittin' Sports with Lamar. I am Casey Lamar. And for David Mize, I'd like to say I appreciate you for watching, and we will talk to you guys later on. Thank you.
Thank you. Roll Tide.